Some cars are expensive, but these cars are different. They are so rare, so protected, and so deeply connected to status that even billionaires cannot simply walk in and buy them. You need history with the brand, personal invitations, and sometimes pure luck. From Formula One technology to hand-built luxury masterpieces, every car on this list feels like a locked door to another world. Watch until the end, because number 1 may be the most untouchable car ever offered to private collectors. Number 10. The Mercedes-AMG 1. This is not just a hypercar with racing inspiration. This is Formula One technology, pulled out of a Grand Prix paddock and forced to survive on public roads. At the center is a 1.6-liter turbocharged V6 hybrid powertrain, directly related to Mercedes-AMG's championship-winning F1 engine technology. Combined with 4 electric motors, the AMG 1 produces around 1,063 horsepower, sending power through an advanced all-wheel drive system that feels less like a normal drivetrain and more like a piece of aerospace engineering. The result is brutal. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes about 2.9 seconds. 0 to 124 miles per hour happens in roughly 7 seconds. And the top speed reaches around 219 miles per hour. But what makes the AMG 1 so special is not just speed. It is the way it creates speed. You hear the engine rise with a sharp mechanical scream, the turbocharger spooling, the electric motors filling every gap, and the entire body slicing through the air with active aerodynamics. The front louvers open and close, the rear wing adjusts, the suspension stays low and aggressive. Every detail feels designed for lap time, not comfort. Yet inside, Mercedes still gives it a premium cockpit. Carbon fiber surrounds the driver. The steering wheel looks like it belongs on a race car. The digital screens feel futuristic, but the seating position, the tight cabin, and the raw mechanical energy remind you that this machine was never built to be relaxed. Only 275 units were planned worldwide, with an original price estimated around $2.7 million before taxes and options. But buying one was never as simple as having the money. Mercedes had to approve customers. Production was extremely complex. Deliveries took years. And because every AMG 1 represents one of the most ambitious road car engineering projects ever attempted, many owners may never sell. That is why even billionaires can struggle to get one. You are not just buying a Mercedes. You are buying the closest thing to a street-legal Formula One car that modern regulations will allow. And when an AMG 1 appears in public, it does not look like wealth. It looks like access. Number 9. The Lamborghini Veneno. This is the kind of car that does not look designed. It looks unleashed. Built to celebrate Lamborghini's 50th anniversary, the Veneno was created as one of the most extreme road-going Lamborghinis ever made. It took the Aventador's carbon fiber foundation, sharpened every surface, widened every line, and turned the entire car into something that looks closer to a fighter jet than a traditional supercar. Under the body sits a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12, producing around 740 horsepower. Power goes through a 7-speed automated manual transmission to all 4 wheels, giving the Veneno savage traction when it launches. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes about 2.8 seconds, and the top speed reaches around 221 miles per hour. But numbers alone do not explain this car. The Veneno is about presence. The front end sits low and aggressive, with massive air channels carved into the body. The wheel arches look like they were shaped by wind tunnel pressure. The rear wing is enormous. The rear diffuser looks almost illegal. Every vent, every blade, every sharp angle seems built to tell the world that Lamborghini was not trying to be elegant, it was trying to be unforgettable. Inside, the cabin feels raw, technical, and rare. Carbon fiber dominates the structure. Lightweight, racing-inspired seats hold the driver tightly. The dashboard feels familiar to Aventador owners, but the atmosphere is different. Colder, sharper, more collectible. It feels like sitting inside a limited edition weapon wrapped in Italian drama. Only a handful were produced, with just 3 coupe versions sold to customers, plus roadster versions made in extremely limited numbers. The original price was around $4 million, but today, the Veneno can be valued far higher on the collector market, sometimes estimated above $8 million, depending on history and condition. And this is where the problem begins for billionaires. You cannot simply order a Veneno. You have to find an owner willing to sell. You have to compete with collectors who already understand its cultural weight. And even then, the car may disappear into a private garage for decades. The Lamborghini Veneno is not subtle luxury. It is a declaration. That rarity can look violent, emotional, and completely impossible to ignore. Number 8. The Bugatti Divo. This is what happens when Bugatti takes the Chiron and decides that pure top speed is no longer enough. The Divo was created for something more aggressive, more emotional, and more exclusive. It uses the same legendary 8.0-liter quad-turbocharged W16 engine, producing around 1,500 horsepower and 1,180 pound-feet of torque. Power goes to all 4 wheels through a lightning-fast dual-clutch transmission, giving the Divo that terrifying Bugatti launch, smooth, violent, and almost unreal. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes about 2.4 seconds. The top speed is electronically limited to around 236 miles per hour. That is lower than the Chiron. But the Divo was never built to chase a speed record. It was built to attack corners. Bugatti reshaped the body with more downforce, sharper aerodynamics, larger air intakes, a more dramatic rear wing, and a wider, more muscular stance. The front end looks lower and more focused. The rear design feels like a piece of science fiction sculpture. Every surface has a purpose: cooling, stability, airflow, grip. And when it moves, the Divo does not glide like a luxury grand tourer. It hunts. Inside, the cabin keeps Bugatti's world-class craftsmanship, but with a sportier atmosphere. Carbon fiber, Alcantara, fine leather, precise stitching, and a driver-focused layout make it feel expensive without becoming soft. It still carries that private jewelry feeling Bugatti is known for, but now the mood is darker, faster, more serious. Only 40 units were built worldwide, and the original price was around $5.8 million. But here is the detail that makes it almost impossible to buy. Bugatti offered the Divo only to selected Chiron owners. You already had to be inside the Bugatti family before you could even get the invitation. So even if a billionaire arrived with cash ready, the answer could still be no. Today, finding a Divo means entering a hidden world of collectors, private brokers, and owners who may never need to sell. And if this level of rarity motivates you, hit like on this video and send a signal to the universe that one day, wealth, timing, and gravity may pull a car like this into your life. Because the Bugatti Divo is not just expensive, It is permission-only performance. Number 7. The McLaren Speedtail. This is not a normal hypercar. This is McLaren asking one question. What would the future of grand touring look like if speed, elegance, and exclusivity were pushed to the edge of imagination? The Speedtail was created as part of McLaren's Ultimate series, and it feels completely different from the aggressive, wing-heavy supercars around it. Instead of looking like a weapon built only for corners, the Speedtail looks like a silver bullet. Long, smooth, stretched, and impossibly clean. Every surface is shaped to reduce drag. The body flows like liquid metal. The rear wheels are partially covered with aerodynamic carbon fiber covers. Even the mirrors are replaced by sleek digital camera systems in many markets. Underneath that futuristic body is a hybrid powertrain combining a twin turbocharged 4.0-liter V8 with electric assistance, producing around 1,035 horsepower. The result is breathtaking. 0 to 186 miles per hour takes only about 12.8 seconds, and the top speed reaches around 250 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest McLaren road cars ever created. But the real magic is inside. The Speedtail uses a central driving position, inspired by the legendary McLaren F1. The driver sits in the middle, with 2 passenger seats positioned slightly behind on each side. It feels less like a car interior and more like the cockpit of a private spacecraft. Fine leather, carbon fiber, glass surfaces, digital displays, and bespoke trim options surround you with quiet, futuristic luxury. And that is what makes the Speedtail so desirable. It is not just fast, it is graceful. It does not scream for attention like a Lamborghini. It moves with the confidence of something rare, intelligent, and almost untouchable. Only 106 units were produced worldwide, matching the production number of the original McLaren F1. The original price was around $2.2 million, but many examples now carry much higher values depending on specification, mileage, and ownership history. And like many cars on this list, money alone was not enough. McLaren selected customers carefully. The allocation was limited, and once these cars entered private collections, very few owners had any reason to let them go. The McLaren Speedtail is not simply a hypercar. It is a rolling passport into the future, reserved for the few who were invited early enough. Number 6. The Ferrari Monza SP1 and SP2. This is Ferrari stripping the supercar experience down to something pure, dangerous, beautiful, and almost impossible to access. The Monza was created under Ferrari's Icona series, a special family of cars inspired by the brand's most legendary racing machines. Its design looks back to the Ferrari Barchettas of the 1950s, but the execution feels modern, sculptural, and brutally expensive. There is no traditional roof, no ordinary windshield, no attempt to make it feel practical. This is not transportation. This is theater. The SP1 is the more extreme version, with a single-seat layout that makes the driver feel like a lone racing hero. The SP2 adds a second seat, allowing one passenger to experience the madness. But both cars carry the same soul: long hood, low body, dramatic fenders, open cockpit, and a shape that feels like a museum sculpture capable of screaming down a coastal road. Under that elegant body is a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated Ferrari V12, producing around 799 horsepower and 530 pound-feet of torque. It sends power to the rear wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes about 2.9 seconds, and the top speed is estimated above 186 miles per hour. But the Monza is not really about chasing numbers. It is about sensation. The wind hits your helmet. The V12 sound rises in front of you like an Italian opera made of fuel and fire. The road feels closer. The sky feels wider. Every drive becomes an event. Not because the car is comfortable, but because it makes you feel exposed to speed in the most beautiful way possible. Inside, the cabin is minimalist, but still deeply luxurious. Carbon fiber, fine leather, metal detailing, racing-style controls, and bespoke Ferrari craftsmanship create an atmosphere that feels both historic and futuristic. It is not a lounge like a Rolls-Royce. It is a private racing cockpit for someone who already owns everything else. Only 499 units were planned across the Monza SP1 and SP2 combined, with an original price estimated around $1.8 million before customization. But Ferrari did not offer it to everyone. These cars were reserved for selected collectors, people with deep Ferrari history and serious brand loyalty. So even billionaires could be ignored. The Ferrari Monza is not bought like a car. It is granted like a privilege. Number 5. The Pagani Huayra Codalunga. This is not just another Pagani. This is what happens when 5 collectors walk into the world of Horacio Pagani and ask for something longer, cleaner, rarer, and more poetic than almost anything on the road. The Codalunga was created through Pagani's special Grandi Complicazioni division, inspired by the long-tail race cars of the 1960s. And you can feel that influence immediately. The body is stretched with elegance. The rear section flows like a sculpture shaped by speed. The surfaces are smooth, calm, and almost minimalist. But underneath that beauty is a machine with terrifying performance. Behind the driver sits a 6.0-liter twin-turbocharged Mercedes-AMG V12, producing around 840 horsepower and 811 pound-feet of torque. Power goes to the rear wheels through a 7-speed sequential gearbox, giving the car that raw, mechanical Pagani feeling. Not too polished, not too silent, but alive. 0 to 60 miles per hour is estimated around 2.8 seconds, and the top speed is expected to sit well above 220 miles per hour. But the Codalunga is not built to win a drag race on YouTube. It is built to stop time. Look at the exterior, the long rear deck, the exposed titanium exhausts, the soft curves, the carbon fiber bodywork, the way the paint reflects light like liquid metal. It does not scream for attention. It whispers with the confidence of something priceless. Inside, the cabin feels like a handmade watch mixed with an old Italian race car. Leather, polished aluminum, exposed carbon fiber, delicate switches, beautiful stitching, and that unmistakable Pagani attention to detail. Nothing feels mass-produced. Nothing feels ordinary. Every surface reminds you that someone spent hundreds of hours making this car feel personal. Only 5 units were made, and the starting price was around 7 million euros before taxes. Roughly over $7.5 million, depending on exchange rates and specification. And that is before the collector market touches it. So even if you are a billionaire, the problem is simple. All 5 already belong to someone else. And those owners may never sell. If this car gives you billionaire motivation, comment number 1 below. And let the universe know you are aiming for a garage this rare. The Pagani Huayra Codalunga is not just exclusive. It is rolling art with a V12 heartbeat. Number 4. The Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR Pro. This is where the line between hypercar and race car almost disappears. The standard Valkyrie is already extreme, but the AMR Pro removes the apology. No road car comfort, no soft luxury mask, no attempt to behave like something you could casually drive to dinner. This machine was built for the circuit, for helmets, fire suits, racing tires, and the kind of speed that makes ordinary supercars feel decorative. At its heart is a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated Cosworth V12, screaming to around 11,000 revolutions per minute and producing about 1,000 horsepower in track-focused form. Unlike the road car, the AMR Pro drops the hybrid system to save weight and sharpen response. Power goes to the rear wheels through a racing-style sequential gearbox, giving every shift a violent mechanical snap. And then comes the aerodynamics. The body is longer, wider, and more aggressive than the road-going Valkyrie. The front splitter looks enormous. The rear wing is massive. The underbody tunnels are shaped like a Le Mans prototype. At speed, the car does not just cut through air, it uses air as a weapon, generating extreme downforce to pin itself to the track. The performance is almost unreal. Top speed is estimated around 225 miles per hour, depending on setup. But the real number that matters is lap time. Aston Martin designed the AMR Pro to deliver performance close to modern Formula One and Le Mans prototype machinery. Inside, there is no billionaire lounge. There is no champagne mood. The cockpit is tight, exposed, and serious. Carbon fiber surrounds everything. The seat holds your body like racing equipment. The steering wheel carries the controls. The view forward feels like you are lying inside a missile. Only 40 customer cars were planned, making it far rarer than almost any modern Aston Martin. The price was estimated around $4 million, but price is not the true barrier. Access is. You need allocation. You need timing. You need to be accepted into a tiny circle of collectors who do not just buy cars. They collect legends. The Valkyrie AMR Pro is not a luxury object. It is controlled violence, wearing an Aston Martin badge. Number 3. The Koenigsegg CC850. This is not just a hypercar. This is Koenigsegg bringing back the soul of an analog driving machine and hiding it inside one of the most advanced cars ever built. At first glance, the CC850 looks cleaner than the Jesko. Smoother, smaller, more emotional. The design pays tribute to the original Koenigsegg CC8S with a rounded windshield, compact proportions, dihedral synchro helix doors, and that unmistakable Swedish shape that feels exotic without trying too hard. But underneath that elegant body, the technology is almost unbelievable. The CC850 uses a 5.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8, producing up to around 1,385 horsepower on E85 fuel. And the number is not random. The car weighs about 1,385 kilograms, giving it a 1-to-1 power-to-weight feeling that makes the whole machine feel alive, light, and dangerous. 0 to 60 miles per hour is estimated around 2.7 seconds, with a top speed expected beyond 280 miles per hour, depending on final gearing and setup. But speed is only half the story. The real magic is the transmission. Koenigsegg created the Engage Shift system, a revolutionary gearbox that can behave like a 6-speed manual with a real clutch pedal, or transform into a 9-speed automatic when the driver wants pure speed. That means you can physically shift gears, feel the clutch, feel the rhythm, and still have hypercar-level technology underneath you. Inside, the CC850 feels beautifully restrained. Leather, aluminum, carbon fiber, analog-inspired details, and perfect Scandinavian craftsmanship create a cabin that feels old-school and futuristic at the same time. It is not loud luxury, it is precision luxury. Originally, Koenigsegg planned only 50 units to honor Christian von Koenigsegg's 50th birthday. But demand was so intense that production was increased to 70 cars. Even then, that is almost nothing in the world of billionaire collectors. And if you had the money too late, you were already behind. So comment below, would you take this over a Bugatti, a Ferrari, or a Pagani? Because the Koenigsegg CC850 is not just rare. It is a love letter to the manual gearbox, written at 1,385 horsepower. Number 2. The Rolls-Royce Boat Tail. This is not a car you buy from a showroom. This is a car that begins with a relationship, a private conversation, and a level of trust most people will never experience with an automaker. The Boat Tail represents Rolls-Royce coach build at one of its most extreme levels. Only 3 were created, and each one was shaped around the personality, lifestyle, and private world of its owner. That means no 2 examples are truly the same. They are not just specifications, they are personal stories, built in metal, leather, wood, glass, and silence. The design is inspired by luxury yachts, and you see it the moment the rear deck opens like a piece of fine marine architecture. The long body flows with elegance. The front end carries that proud Rolls-Royce grille. The proportions feel grand, calm, and impossibly wealthy. This is not aggressive like a hypercar. It is commanding in a quieter, more dangerous way. Under the hood is a 6.75-liter twin-turbocharged V12, believed to be closely related to the Phantom's powertrain, producing around 563 horsepower. It is not built for brutal acceleration. 0 to 60 miles per hour is expected around 5 seconds. But in a boat tail, speed is not the flex. Presence is. The most famous detail is the rear hosting suite, opening to reveal champagne coolers, fine dining pieces, cocktail tables, and a parasol. It feels less like a trunk and more like a private luxury ceremony. Imagine arriving at a coastal estate. The rear deck opens, crystal catches the sunlight, and suddenly the car becomes an event. Inside, everything is bespoke. Leather, veneer, metal finishing, custom timepieces, color-matched surfaces, and craftsmanship that feels closer to a private jet cabin than a normal automobile. Every stitch exists because the owner wanted it there. The estimated price is often placed around $28 million. But even that number does not fully explain the barrier. You cannot simply ask Rolls-Royce for one. You need the relationship, the invitation, the patience, and the kind of personal story worth building into a coach-built masterpiece. The Rolls-Royce Boat Tail is not transportation. It is status, made physical. Number 1. The Ferrari Daytona SP3. This is the kind of Ferrari that reminds the world why collectors do not just buy cars, they chase legends. The Daytona SP3 belongs to Ferrari's ultra-exclusive Icona series, created to celebrate the golden age of endurance racing. Its design is inspired by Ferrari's legendary sports prototypes from the 1960s, the cars that dominated Daytona, Le Mans, and the most romantic era of motorsport. But the SP3 is not a retro costume. It is a modern sculpture, carved with memory, speed, and desire. Look at the body, the low nose, the muscular front fenders, the dramatic butterfly doors, the flowing side channels. The rear end, with its horizontal blade-like design, looks almost unreal under sunlight. It does not need a giant wing to feel powerful. The whole shape feels like a piece of aerodynamic art, calm, elegant, and deadly serious. Behind the driver sits a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12, producing around 829 horsepower. No turbochargers, no electric assistance, just pure Ferrari combustion, screaming all the way to around 9,500 revolutions per minute. Power goes to the rear wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, giving the Daytona SP3 that sharp, emotional Ferrari response. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes around 2.8 seconds, and the top speed reaches about 211 miles per hour. But again, this car is not only about numbers, it is about sound. That V12 does not just accelerate the car, it fills the air with history. It feels mechanical, emotional, and almost sacred. In an era where many hypercars are becoming quieter, heavier, and more digital, the Daytona SP3 feels like Ferrari protecting the soul of the supercar. Inside, the cabin is low, focused, and beautifully crafted. Carbon fiber surrounds the structure. The seats are integrated into the chassis. Fine materials, racing details, and a minimalist cockpit make the driver feel connected to something rare and serious. Only 599 units were planned, with an estimated price around $2.25 million before personalization. But Ferrari did not offer this car to just anyone. It went to selected clients, collectors with history, loyalty, and the kind of relationship money alone cannot instantly create. That is why it earns number 1. The Ferrari Daytona SP3 is not the most expensive car here, but it may be the most emotionally untouchable. A final naturally aspirated V12 masterpiece, reserved for the chosen few. These cars prove one thing: at the highest level, money is only the beginning. Real access comes from history, relationships, timing, and a reputation strong enough for the world's most powerful brands to notice you. From Ferrari V12 legends to Rolls-Royce masterpieces and Bugatti performance art, each machine on this list is more than a car. It is a key to a world most people will never enter. Subscribe for more rare, expensive, and untouchable cars, and I'll see you in the next video.